This is our Asia 2019 trip that we're going on. We leave Saturday morning early, and we're going to go to Japan for a week and China for about 10 days. So it's a 17-day trip. If you look at the other international trips going with our men's and women's basketball teams, they go for about 10 days. The reason we go for 17 days is it's a long ways to go. It takes a long time to acclimate, so we want to make sure we get a lot out of it. And when you go to Italy, Spain, Slovenia, some of these countries that other teams are going to volleyball-wise, those tend to be more like vacations. We tend to approach this as we want these guys to go through an experience that is going to stress them, get them uncomfortable, and they're going to have to learn to grind a little bit and be away from home and be way out of their comfort zone for 17 days. So it's it creates a little bit more opportunity for that to happen, as opposed to 10 days, you're in, you're out pretty quick. And we set all this up ourselves, and we have the clubs that we go to, so we're able to afford it cost-wise because we're able to do a really good job on the costs and keeping the costs down. So the other thing that I think is important to stress, and I stressed with our team, is in 2000 we didn't win a match. In 2006 we didn't win a match. Both those teams won national championships. 2010 we won our first match. Over there in 2014 we actually won 2 matches. So we've gotten better and closer to these Asian teams. But however, on this trip we are going to play the number 1 and 2 team in the pro league in Japan, Hisamitsu, which is a pharmaceutical company, and Toray, which is a big electrical company like GE for in the United States. So those are the companies that sponsor these club teams. They were both number 1 and 2 in the V League, and in the V League there's several team players on the Olympic team who play in the V League, and international players from all over the world. So it's a very good league. From there we're going to go to China, and we start in Shanghai. Shanghai finished, I believe, 3rd in the Chinese League. Jordan Larson just signed to play with them next fall and winter. So that just shows you the level of the quality of the club team there. From there, we're going to take an overnight train. So nobody in our team has probably even been on a train, much less an overnight train. So you're on the train all night. You arrive in the city of Tianjin in the morning. And that's one of the highlights that we've done in the past that our players really like, because it's so different, and we basically have a whole train car to ourselves for our whole travel party. So you load up, and it's like Army style in a submarine bunks, and you load up and you go all night. And so Tianjin finished 2nd in the Chinese Pro League. We've also been there before. They're great hosts, and their junior team's actually been to Lincoln twice. So that's a great place to go and train, and so we're excited about that. And then we'll finish that trip with playing Beijing, who won the championship. And Kelsey Robinson actually played for Beijing 2 years ago. This year, of course, she played in Turkey, and they were the champions of the Chinese League. So we're going to challenge our team. Our record will not be great, but we are going to learn how to play some great volleyball and play against teams that play great volleyball. One of the advantages to going to Asia is they just came off a tournament. They're getting ready for some other tournaments in Asia this summer, so they're training. A lot of the other countries you go to, they're not training over the summer. They take the summers off. The pros do. The Japanese and the Chinese train all year round. They take a little bit of a break in early May, but otherwise they are training in full speed. And so those teams are primed and ready to play us, and they look forward to playing us because they don't have to train. They get to play, and they like interacting with our players. At the end of the trip, we'll spend 2 days sightseeing. So we'll go to the Great Wall, Tiananmen Square, Forbidden City, Summer Palace, and the most important place to go in China, which is called Silk Street. And that's where you can buy anything in the world that's made in China, all the brand names, Gucci, whatever, and you can go and negotiate what you want to pay. So it is wild, it's fun, and the players love it. So what questions?
Last couple of weeks at a high level of international volleyball with the Nations League at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Well, what is it about international volleyball that can help your team?
Well, the first challenge is playing with that volleyball is a little bit different, and so it moves a lot more. So learning how to control that ball is a big challenge, and we've been training. We'll have 10 practices training with that ball. The second thing is they're pros. They know how to play. They play for a living. They don't make errors. They hit the ball hard. They're very smart. They have very high volleyball IQs. They serve and pass really well. All the Asian teams do. So when you go and play against those teams, you're just going to get better by playing against them because you're going to learn things that we probably can't recreate here. And then the stress of traveling gets us out of our comfort zone. So we're going to be playing, the USA team I think is playing at 4 in the morning this morning in China. So we'll be playing 12 hours opposite of what they're used to. So adjusting the jet lag and the international travel is also a really big deal. We will stay in some nice hotels, but we also stay in the dorms in Tianjin and Shanghai. We stay in the dorms where those players also stay, so it's like staying in college dorms and you eat in the cafeteria. And then in Japan, they don't really have that. We're actually, we will, in between the morning and afternoon session, we'll take naps on tatami mats, which is a Japanese bed, so they're going to give us a room with those in there so we can rest because we're not going to go back to the hotel. And so we'll definitely experience some Asian culture.
Could you
learn how to eat with chopsticks.
Could you have gone on a foreign trip last
year? Until we got this freshman class in, because they just changed the rule, Brent, that and this is the first time ever you can take your freshmen, incoming freshmen. So Maddie and Kenzie got here early, so they were good to go, but the rest of our incoming freshman class, there's 4 more players, they actually get to go on this trip with us. So they've been here in summer school, they get to go through all the training with us, and so that is a huge advantage. And that's why they made that rule, so like 2 years ago, Ani and Sydney in that class missed out on the trip. And because we didn't go last year, Michaela and Kenzie missed out. So if you go every 4 years, a class always misses out. So that's why they changed the rules. So it's a huge advantage, and it's going to be a great experience to get those. We have this whole team we have right now. This is our team basically for the next 2 years. We're going to add 1 or 2 more next year, which I can't talk about. But so this group's together for the next 2 years. So this is a great opportunity and to go on timing-wise for our program and our roster to go this year.
Kind of on that last point, obviously you have no seniors. Would you rather maybe have some senior bodies around, or do you prefer actually having that same team, so to speak, for 2 years?
Well, if you look at the previous 2 years, we've almost turned over our entire roster except for 2 players, Michaela and Kenzie. So, and we turned over coaching staffs. So that is a challenge in itself. I love the idea that we've got this group for 2 years and kind of watch them grow and build those relationships. And now, so I kind of like where we're at, but that's coaching. It changes all the time. But I'm really excited about this group training together for 2 years because we're young. We're really young. This might be the youngest team I've ever had here. But as the Darryl Royal used to say, Nicole, you can Google who Darryl Royal is, but he said if a dog's going to bite, it's going to bite as a pup. So these guys are going to be players. They're going to show us early in their career that they can be players.
John, have you identified team leaders yet, and how much will this trip help you in that process?
The 2 that I've been working with are Lauren and Nicklin, and we haven't named them captains yet, but we've been working on it, and this is going to be their opportunity to prove that they can lead this team. They're going to have 17 days to prove that. And just the other thing for trivia, so in China, it's this year's the Year of the Pig. And so that's why this shirt here, I wore this today so you can see this. Lexi designed this. So here's the pig, and this says Nebraska Volleyball. This is a Chinese saying here about playing together and fighting spirit and so on. And one of the things I like about the Year of the Pig is we talk about goal setting. And goal setting, you have to really commit to setting goals and commit to those goals. And in this day and age, commitment to these kids doesn't mean a whole lot. If you just look at the transfers and who leaves and who does what. So we give them an example because we live in Nebraska. If they had bacon and eggs for breakfast this morning, the chicken that laid those eggs kind of made a commitment, but the pig made a total commitment. So we want our players to be like the pig, and it's the year of the pig, so we're committed to this all in.
Even though your team's pretty young, they're probably pretty used to winning, and you're probably going to lose a lot over there. How beneficial is that, though, just to kind of get those lessons of losing?
Well, I don't know if it feels good to lose. And so for me, what I've got to do is we got to go on this trip. We got to start off, try to be good, and try to go to great, and see how we can improve over the course of the trip. But we're going to play the second day we're there against the #1 team in Japan, and I mean their heads are going to be spinning from jet lag, and it takes a while to adjust to that. But the other thing that they learned from this is the ones that want to go on and play professionally and play around the world or be on the USA team. I mean, this is what Kelsey and Jordan just did. They left here and went to China, and they were in Europe, and from China I think they go to Japan I think they go to Turkey. So I mean this is a world of the international volleyball players. So this is also going to really open their eyes to that.
Between spring matches, McCook, and these summer practices that you guys have had leading up to this trip, what have you learned about your team that you're hoping to build on with this trip?
Still learn a lot because we just got everybody here, but I'm really, really impressed with our freshman class, and they were picked ranked second, and I'm like, whoa, what are these people thinking? And now that they're here, I'm seeing some really good things from these freshmen. They've all come in here and are doing a really good job. I'm seeing emerging leaders in Lauren and Nicklin and their lieutenants, I call them. They've got some great support people. Are helping them. But like most teams, it's going to come down to the relationships that they build, and can we out-serve and pass our opponents. And if we can go in there and do that in Asia, we'll have a great shot of out-serving and passing American teams.
You mentioned the freshmen, but Maddie and Kenzie obviously got here early, got to go through the spring. What have you seen from them early on in their careers, actually being able to get on the court and play for you?
Yeah, they did. They came in here and did not flinch. They did not act like freshmen. They went to McCook and both played great, and they continued training really well. And they're just very. They remind me of what Michaela had. They have this deep inner confidence and Michaela had that as a freshman. Kenzie Maloney had that as a freshman. These guys have it. And that's why we recruit them.
You've gone to Asia every trip since you've been in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Why not try Brazil or Italy like some of these other colleges do?
Brazil's. It's really hard to get good teams to play, and it's not safe. That's why you ask anybody who's been down there, it's not safe. So I don't want to deal with that. Second of all, Europe, it's more of a vacation, and it's like for us it'd be like going to California for our players. So or New York or something. Asia is about as far out of their comfort zone as they can get with food, accommodations. The showers are all lower because everything's built for small people. All the bus seats are. It's just built for a different world. And then to see how crowded and polluted and all those things dealing with that. But the main thing is those Asian teams want to win, and they don't want to lose to us, and they're in full-time training mode all year round. So they are in playing mode. And I remember in 2014 when we beat the Hangzhou team 15-13 in the fifth. We somehow lucked out in front of about 3,000 people on TV in the Hangzhou region. We got our stuff started leaving, they started practicing. I have no idea how long they stayed there for, but it was not a good situation for that team. So think about their motivation. And so I want our players to see that. And I think the other thing, if any of you ever have a chance to go to Japan or China, the respect for the game of volleyball is unbelievable. It's like here, it's special. And they respect it, the way they treat it. they don't wear shoes in the gyms. They all bring in different. They carry their shoes in and wear sandals. They all leave them at the front. The gyms are immaculate. The respect they have between players and coaches. I mean, it's just a really cool culture to be around.
Maybe one more question: are these players that are in the Volleyball Nations League for China and Japan, would they be on some of these pro teams now? If they went with the...
Absolutely. So their best players are playing on Japan and the national team. So I know Hisamitsu lost a couple. They have the most, I think. I know Beijing, Tianjin, and Shanghai all have players that their top players are in the national team right now. So USA is actually playing China tonight. There'll be players from those 3 teams on the Chinese team.
So you're playing their kind of their second tier team.
Well, so they're pro. I mean, they probably have 15 to 20 players training. So let's say they take 1 or 2 off to go to the national team. We're playing what's left. So they may not have their Olympic stars. So it'd be like playing the USA team, but Jordan and Kelsey aren't there, and maybe Carly Lloyd's not there, and Fluke. But you're still playing the national team.
John, Amy and Fred are kind of in a unique situation going on this Italy trip that they're going on in August. But in your experience, how much can these types of foreign trips really help a program build and help a new team build chemistry very quickly?
I just know the other 4 times that we've gone, we've come back and won 2 national championships. We were a bad call away from being in another Final Four. And 14, which was a very young team, we were playing in a regional final, go to the Final Four with a really young team. So I just think, first of all, they grow volleyball-wise from it. But the other thing is, we're going to be there with no school. Communication's tough. There's no boys. There's no distractions. It's just us. And we will have some times on this trip where we'll go dark, I call it. So there's going to be no cell phones, no nothing. It's just them. We're on buses. We're on trains. So there's a lot of relationship building that goes on these trips. And I think that is, here there's so many distractions. But that's a one time, it's just us. And just think about this. There's going to be our little team in a country of 1 billion people. And with all the world tension and everything going on between U.S. and China, but we're just going to go there and play volleyball, and it's just us in this one country, and the same in Japan. So there's a tremendous team building that goes on these trips.